Hello and welcome back to Brick Gaming YGO. I'm back here with my second place deck profile, which is really just a giant pile of cards. I ended up going 3 wins, 1 draw, 0 losses, and this is just a grass pile that's pretty fun to play and is unique, to say the least. Maybe not the most optimized yet, but there's a lot of cool stuff going on. So first off is 3 Tearlament's Rhino Heart. This is just a really good Tearlament's card, sends any name. Always a card you want to see, and you always want to get to it. Next up is 3 Tearlament's Cashtera. This one's always just good for extra mills. It gets you deeper into your deck, mill-wise, whether it's being summoned or milled itself. Generally want to summon this one, though. Next up for the Shufflers, or for the ones that create the fusions, 1 Shiren, 1 Havness, 1 Merly. Pretty standard, nothing really special here. All of them are just solid. Then I play 3 Pearl Rhino. Pearl Rhino is just the search one. Grabs any of the Tearlaments, but usually you're just grabbing Rhino Heart off of it. It also gives all of your Tearlaments and fusions a 500 attack boost. And when you shuffle back a Tearlament, it can pop a card on field. So pretty good overall. And then for the rest of the Tearlament spells and traps, we play 2 Scream and 1 Solic. I just kept this package really small. I'm probably going to increase Scream to 3 in the future. I'll probably keep Solic at 1. This card can be a brick, and so yeah. I just keep it at 1 for now, but just because you can brick on it and you don't want to see it in your hand, like, ever. Next, for the Yubel package, I play 2 Samsara Deep Lotus. This is just gets everything started. You always kind of want to see this card if you can normal summon it. This is usually what you're going to go for in most cases. You play 2 because it's searchable, and you also don't want to brick on normal summon, so I decided to keep that as low as possible. Next, I play 2 Spirit of Yubel. Usually you would play 3, but in my opinion, you only need 2, because if you draw it, it's a brick. And so I want to reduce the chance of drawing it, and 2 is really the minimum you can play. If I could play 1, I would play 1. Next, I play 1 Yubel. Yubel is just the name, you need it. And yeah, nothing really too crazy there. And then finally, for the monsters, I play 1 Gruesome Gravescormer, and this is for the Yubel package. There's other monsters in the deck. This one's just really good all around. I found myself not using this guy pretty much ever. I think I only ever summoned it once, but it does come up where it can be good. Then I play 3 Nightmare Throne. Nightmare Throne is another card you kind of want to see all the time. This is probably one of the best starters, and just allows you to combo pretty deeply with the Yubel cards. It searches on activation, and you can also recycle a bit, which the recycling doesn't come up quite that much. Then I play 1 Nightmare Pain. This is just what you're going to search off of Spirit of Yubel every single time. The pop effect is pretty good. It has a lot of synergy with the Tearlaments, so you can pop your Tearlaments monsters, the dark ones, and then get fusions that way, or you can just go with the standard Yubel combo depending on what you need. But it's overall pretty good, and definitely comes up quite a bit, so that's a card you kind of always want to activate. Then play 3 Bystial Rebellions. This card's just good. If I see it, it's usually a good sign. And then certain matchups, just banish stuff out of your opponent's graveyard with the other Bystials. And then this one also grabs your continuous spell. You don't play the trap in this build. It's just too bricky. You just don't want to see it. With that, I play 1 Magma Hut, the other searcher. 1 Druisworm. This card's just good all around. It's just a sender. 1 Sornair. This one sends usually Bystial Rebellion. If you're milling it, this can get Rebellion into grave, or just get an additional name in the grave, depending on what you need. And then 1 Baldrake, and that's it for the Bystial monsters. You don't play too many, you play enough, just because they do come up quite a bit, and they can be really good extenders in the deck. Then I play 1 Branded Regained, and this card just allows for really infinite recursion and infinite advantage if your opponent leaves on the field. Every single matchup my opponent let me keep it on the field, I would just win in the grind game, because this card just reborns your Bystials and then also draws my Rebanish. And so that plus Magma Hut, just having these 2 cards in rotation, it just wins all the time. It's just really nice. Does a lot of stuff. Then I play, for next package, for the Horus package, 3 Mseti. You want to see this card a lot. It's really good. I would consider playing the field spell, but I just don't have room, and there's already like a lot of field spells in this deck, so I just consider that a little bit too conflicting. But yeah, 3 insight is good, and then with that you play 1 happy, and that's all the Horus monsters you play. You keep the package really slim because happy's a brick, and then any of the other ones are also bricks. And I play 3 King Sark. Now, a lot of lists will play only 2 King Sark, but I'm fine with, like, if I just open this, it can get dead cards out of your hand, it can fix hands, and it allows for more extension, so I'd rather have as many copies as I can get. So, that's that package, really solid as well. Just allows you to get into rank 8s or further extend your combos. Then I play, for Thunder Dragons, 2 Dragon Dark. The reason I play 2 and not 3 is that 3 at this point, it's kind of a brick if you see it in your hand. Like with Pure Thunders or with Thunder Dragon back in the day, it could be pretty solid just playing 3 because, hey, it's another Thunder Dragon, it gets stuff into rotation. But in this deck, you'd rather just mill this than see it in your hand. And 2 is just really just have enough names to make the engine impactful enough. Then I play 1 Dragon Roar. You only need 1. I've seen some people play 2 and 2 of these, but you only need 1 Dragon Roar. That's all you need. You can keep this engine super small, and it can still come up just because you're milling so many cards. If you see a single Bystial and you mill any of these, that's perfectly fine. And usually the hand effect doesn't come up too much because the only other Thunder Dragon you play is Thunder Dragon Hawk. Now this is the Reborn. This is what gets you into Colossus. It's just a card that you generally want to get to through either Dragon Dark or Dragon Roar. Don't play more than this just because it can be a brick by itself, first off. And then secondly, you just don't need more because you can search it, so it's searchable. It's just too bricky if you play more than 1 in this build. Then I play 3 Fenrir. This is just really good for either grabbing more Fenrir in some cases, or going ahead and getting into your Tearlament package. And then with that, I play 1 Pressure Planet, not Pro Rhino. Racewath? Ugh, word's hard. How do you say this card's name? Racewath? Anyways, you just play 1. I would honestly almost cut this card and then play something else, but for now, this has been working out pretty well. And this card can also matter just with the stat boosts. So, total of technically 4 Fenrirs. Just solid. Just a good card. Banishes stuff, searches stuff. Good starter, good board breaker. Then I play 3 Triple Tactics Thrust. Thrust is good going second. You don't always go first with this deck. And you want to have a way to grab grass or grab something else if you need it. So, in the case of Thrust, this card is just good all around. You can usually leave it in post side deck if you're going second. It's just good. It's a good card. Kind of does everything you want it to do. Then play 1 That Grass Looks Greener. That's the whole reason you're playing 60 cards, is just to resolve this card. Now, this card's insane. It's a pretty powerful card. It was banned for many years. But usually, in most cases, if you get to it and it resolves, you're milling 20. And your opponent hand traps it. Usually your hands have enough going on outside that it's fine. You can just be good ash bait. Then for the rest of them, 1 Foolish Burial, just good card. Good card, that's all I can say for that one. 1 for 1, this is a good way to get into Samsara de Lotus. I think it's pretty good as well because you can get like, monster out of your hand that you're not going to use or something that you need engrave. So pretty good there as well. Then 1 Terraforming, just to get to whatever field spell you need. It does come up where you just want 1 specific one, and that 1 specific field spell can solve the game state and lead to a win. Then play 1 Reinforcement of the Army, just grabbing Rhinoheart. You want to see Rhinoheart, you want to get to Rhinoheart, well, that's just another way to get to Rhinoheart. 1 Chaos Space. Almost all the monsters you play in this deck are darks, so it's really easy to get into Rebellion, and then you can also recycle stuff you banish with the Bystials, either stuff from your extra deck or Rebellion, so it's just a good card. I wish it was at 3. If it was at 3, that would be pretty cool. For the rest of the monsters, 1 Keldo, 1 Mudora, those are the shufflers, shuffle stuff back, and then 1 Shadal Beast. But just a good draw card. If you mill it, you mill it. If you see it in your hand, that's also fine. It's just good utility, gets you a card deeper. And it's a card that I almost consider cutting, but it's still pretty good. For the extra deck, I play 2 Phantom of Yubel. You need 2. 2 is like the minimum you can really play. I was really going to play 1, but honestly, 2 is what I need to get the deck to function. And then just to follow up with a second Phantom of Yubel is super powerful in a lot of situations. Next is 1 Gorilla. You just use 2 Tearlaments to make this. It does come up all the time. It's shocking how much this card comes up and how much it matters. 1 Mud Dragon. This gets you into your total replays. This is what you're usually making when you resolve Rhino Heart or resolve any of your tiers, because you get to make a Toad. And I'll explain that in a bit. 1 Dragos Tapelia. This card's just really good for recycling these 2 or any other fusion except for Phantom of Yubel, so it's just a good way to recycle these guys, and it's a monster negate. Pretty solid. Then you got Colossus. Colossus locks your opponent out of searching, so it's just an easy floodgate. Going first, this card can be really busted in certain matchups. And going second, it can just be a big wall, and it can also allow you to play under D-Shifter a bit. Because by playing the Thunder Dragons, you can still kind of use them under D-Shifter a bit, which means that you can at least, in worst case scenario, you can probably set up Colossus. Luckily, I really haven't had that come up too much yet, but in testing, yeah, it does happen to get D-Shifter, and depending on the hand, you can at least make Colossus pass, which may not win the game, but may help you survive a turn and then be able to come back into the game. Next is 1 Cross Sheep. This card allows you to reborn upon fusion summoning. If you fusion summon or summon a monster while this card's pointing to a fusion. So this card does matter a lot. It's a good extender, and it can get you into other plays, which get you deeper into your deck. 1 IP Masquerena. I mean, the card's just good. It's just busted. I mean, linking on your opponent's turn, and then of course if you use it, you're just making SP. And SP is probably one of the best cards Konami has printed in a really long time. And this card's just really good, just banishes on summon, and then when your opponent activates stuff, you can quick effect banish 2 monsters, basically. So, just a really good card. This is what you're always making. It can get you out some pretty tough situations, depending on the matchup. Then I play 1 Sprint. This is just another way to get into your Tearlament. Because you're playing Cross Sheep, you can bring something back, and then link Cross Sheep, and wherever you bring back, off into Sprint. Sprint sends, and then also if you control XYZ, this card can become a free bounce of a monster, so pretty good. Then playing 1 Dark. Dark is just good. You play a lot of Darks. You reborn some of your opponent's graveyard. You link climb, or you make... Well, you don't really link climb in this deck, but you can make an SP. Or if your opponent just has something good in their graveyard, you can just bring back a good Dark monster, and then just play with your opponent's cards. So that's pretty cool. For the rest of the monsters, we have Totally and Bahamut. So this is what you use with Rhino Heart and with Mud Dragon. You can go into this guy, you make Toad, then you can link this guy off, or really just do whatever you want to with this card. This card, you just take off the field immediately, and then you just have a free negate. Always good. Next is Zombie Vampire and number 90. Number 90 is like the only really iffy card left in the extra deck, I would say. Just because number 90 only comes up in really niche situations at this point, because you're usually going for Zombie Vampire to extend your plays. But in certain matchups, number 90 does matter, especially if your opponent's also playing a graveyard deck. Sometimes it's just better to go for this guy and set up a negate instead of trying like meal both players' decks. But I would say 99% of the time you're just making Zombie Vampire and then only making this guy if you really need to. This card does come up every once in a while though, so you have some situations where it does matter. Zombie Vampire is usually the more important card. Finally getting into the side deck, I have 3 evenly matched. Just it's a blowout card, this format. This card just blows stuff out. So to go along with it, 3 Droplet. This can get tears out of your hand, as well as just breaking an opponent's board just by reducing their stats and then just summoning bigger guys. 3 Dark Ruler. Dark Ruler plus evenly is insane, or just by itself. This deck doesn't always have to OTK, because sometimes just a follow-up you're able to put onto the board and into the graveyard is too much. 2 Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm's pretty good. It's just another blowout card in certain matchups, so does come up quite a bit. 3 Lava Golem. This will probably become Spear mode into the new format, just because spear mode is going to be a lot better, just clears a lot more stuff, especially with the bigger boards. But for right now, I'm just playing 3 lava golem, and then probably within the next week or 2, I'll switch these out for spear mode. It doesn't really make a difference too much right now, but yeah, lava golem comes up and can also come up in time. And then finally, for the time card, the guaranteed time card, it's Scattershot. Burn your opponent for 500. I will combo for 20 minutes and then burn you for 500. Well, maybe not 20 minutes, but a long time. I can combo for a very long time with this deck. And if I go uninterrupted, I can easily make it to time and burn my opponent for 500. And that's why you also play Sprint, is because you can dump this off of Sprint, or if you mill it, it's burning either way. And that 500 can easily be enough. So that's the deck. Now I'm going to talk about my matchups. So my first round was against Snake Eyes Fire King. I am getting that game 2-1. I lost the first game. Second game, my opponent made a side decking mistake and had to forfeit that game. Just only playing the game with 39 cards in their deck. And then game 3, I ended up getting it just by blowing my opponent out with an evenly matched, and then comboing off and playing through their hand traps and through the rest of the negate, or the single negate they still have left on their board. So ended up getting that one. Then in round 2, I got paired against Bystial Control, which Bystial Control is a really hard matchup because all of my stuff triggers Engrave. So that one was pretty back and forth, but I ended up getting it in time with Scattershot in game 3. Scattershot them for time. So yeah, I ended up getting that one. Then went into round 3, and now round 3 was my draw. I ended up drawing 2 Traptrix. They ended up getting game 1 after we played for, I believe it was 30-minute long game 1 or 35-minute game 1. Anyways, by the time we got to game 2, there was about 10 minutes left. And I went first and was able to combo off for those 10 minutes and then Scattershot in time again, which results in a draw and not a loss, which would end up after the next round guaranteeing my second place. So in the 4th round, there were 3 undefeated, so I got paired against one of the undefeateds. My tiebreakers were actually pretty good by this point, which was nice. And I am playing against Snake Eyes with the Fire King and Fiendsmith package. And I should also mention round 1, my opponent was also using the Fiendsmith package with their Snake Eyes. But anyways, got paired up against the same deck. And I'm getting game 1, just pretty easy. My opponent bricked, only had hand traps. So I am getting that one because that can relatively play through some hand traps. Usually, like after the second hand trap, we're getting to like a 3rd hand trap, 4th hand trap. This deck struggles, but if it's less than that, usually I can play through it. Game 2, they got it, and then game 3, I just broke their board. Just like that, and ended up getting it in the final game, which ended up putting my record at 3 wins, 1 draw, 2nd place overall, and yeah, undefeated. On the week prior, I wasn't playing really a good time card. My time card was like way more janky. It was just a random mill time card, so that was not very good. So I am in the previous week going into time and resulting in draw on a game that I should have probably won. So that was a bit unfortunate, but anyways, deck does do very well. There are a few changes I would consider, mainly in reference to 1 card in the extra deck and maybe 2 or 3 cards in the main deck that I would probably change around in the future. Side deck is good, very solid. Everything comes up. Everything came up at least once, twice, or even 4 times throughout the day. And yeah, pretty good. And then also just because a lot of people find it relevant, it was a 26-person locals, so pretty good size. Anyway, I promise I will continue to upload inconsistently with no real scheduled times for upload, but anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.